Welcome to Fresh Start Wellness, where being healthy is easy, fun, and simple. Our guest today is someone who started the juicing revolution not only in the United States, but all over the world. He started his journey by filming a 60-day juice fast and created the documentary Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Today, our guest is Mr. Joe Cross, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Mary Beth. It's great to be in Nashville, and it's fabulous to be here with you on the show.
Okay, I noticed you have an accent, so tell everyone where you're from.
Yeah, well, do I really need to say where I'm from? I'm from Sydney, Australia. I was born and bred there, but these days I spend a lot of time all over the world, particularly the US, and it's just fabulous to get out and see. I've never been to Nashville before, and I never knew you had a replica Parthenon either here. I've been to the one in Athens, but not the one in Nashville.
Well, we're glad you're here.
It's great to be here.
And a lot of people are getting into the juicing, and some people want to know about your juice fast that you did for 60 days, and what inspired you to do that, and exactly what is a juice fast?
Right, well, Mary Beth, the main reason I did it is because I had been living a life of extremes, and the extremes were towards processed food and away from Mother Nature. It was extremes where I was living mostly on food made by people in white coats. And I've got a saying, if you eat a lot of food made by people in white coats, you end up seeing a lot of people in white coats.
Right.
It's the white coat circle, and you're handing out money everywhere, right? So I realized that at the age of 40, when I had basically broken, as a human. I mean, I broke at 32. I had a chronic illness. I was on meds every night, every day. I had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, pre-diabetic, an autoimmune disease for a chronic condition called urticaria angioedema, which is a fancy way of saying chronic hives, that I was really broken.
Right.
And so this extreme way of living, which was turning my back on Mother Nature and eating only processed food and lots of animal product and lots of processed meat, I figured that probably wasn't the smartest way to live on this beautiful planet of ours.
Right.
So I thought, what if I went the other way, Mary Beth? What if I went extreme the other way? What if I said no to processed, no to animal, and just eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, and seeds, and whole grains? And to start that journey off, what if I really pay homage to Mother Nature and go back to our ancestral roots and create a nutritional famine, which is effectively the second part of your question, which is what is a juice fast? A juice fast is drinking the water filtered through plants. So in other words, inside a cucumber, we have incredible magic nutrients. We have what's called liquid sunshine that Mother Nature, through the sun, through the soil, through the atmosphere, and through that beautiful H2O has created these incredible nutrients. Now, getting those nutrients, you can either eat the cucumber, you can blend the cucumber, or you can juice the cucumber. But at the end of the day, the same nutrients are coming into your system and delivered through the bloodstream into the trillions of cells in your body. So to me, it was all about going from one extreme to the other to see if I could repair and heal myself. And of course, for those who've seen the movie, it took 5 months of that commitment, 60 days of juice and 90 days of eating just plants and drinking juice, of course. And I was 100 pounds lighter. I started at 320, I got to 220, and I'm off all medication, have been that way for 7.5 years.
Right, that's awesome. And that was what I was going to ask you. Were you on any medications beforehand?
I was on lots of medications. I was on medications day and night for from 32 to 41. So, close to 9 years before I eventually decided to make this commitment and to really see whether or not I was to blame for my own health issues. 70% of all disease in the Western world is caused by our lifestyle choices. And there's 6 big lifestyle choices, Mary Beth. There's smoking, there's eating and drinking, there's not enough exercise, there's lack of sleep, there's high stress, and there's, of course, the lack of love and intimacy in our life. And those factors, when I look down the list at the age of 40, Mary Beth, fail. I was failing at all of them.
Right, and that's most of us, or have some type of where we're broken.
Yeah, look, I wasn't Robinson Crusoe, okay? I mean, there was a truckload of people out there that are in this state of maybe they're not obese or maybe they're not overweight, but they are broken, and that's another misnomer. People wander around saying, oh, that person's big and therefore they're actually sick, and that person's thin and they're healthy. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
What we have is we have an epidemic of disease in the Western world today, whether it's the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, Hong Kong, wherever you go, Germany and France, we have diseases of nutritional ignorance everywhere. And so this is not about a thin or a fat thing. This is more about how much plant food are we getting into our bodies. You know, there's only 3 types of food you can eat at the end of the day. Processed food, animal product, and plant food. Now, the average Aussie, the average American, just getting 5% of their calories from plants.
Wow.
And
that's low.
That's an extreme.
Yes, that is. Big time. So when you were doing your juice fast, back to that, did you have days where, was it hard, or were there days that...
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, just drinking juice only is one of the hardest things you'll ever do for the first 3 to 4 days, but something magical happens after day 4, day 5. You actually start to go into this, what I call plan B scenario, where the body goes into survival mode, where you're actually, it's as though you're back on the savannah, and because you're trying to find food, your body is trying to help you, you go into this mode where all of a sudden your eyesight, your sense of smell, your hearing, you start to power up, and you become really on this survival mode where it's all about finding food.
Right.
And when you're in that state, you are focused, you have lots of energy, and that's an incredible feeling.
Yeah. Well, I want to do a juice fast that's more than just 10 days. But I have friends who have questions about, like, you know, is there a difference in blending and juicing? And, you know, they want to know more about that. Could you kind of explain that? Or
Sure. Well, I'd say the first thing, when people want to embark on a journey like this, some of the biggest stumbling blocks is their friends and what their friends say. So the first thing would be is that fasting is part of our ancestry. It's part of human nature. It's part of the animal kingdom. If you think about it, fasting is in all the religions. It's in Christianity, it's in Hindu, it's in Muslim, it's in Buddhism. It's also innate with animals. You know, when animals are sick, they don't eat. How about our babies when they're sick? They get a temperature, they scream, cry, or they don't eat. So the first thing I'd say to anyone who's out there and has some friends that are sort of like, oh, I don't know about that,
right.
I'd bring that history of humanity, of Mother Nature sometimes giving, some Mother Nature sometimes not giving. So the feast and famine. Then the second thing I'd say is that blending versus juicing, it's a really important thing to understand. I love both, and both have benefits to you. They are different, and the big difference is that blending is much more like eating food, and juicing is much more like drinking water. So if you sort of said to me, Joe, what's better for you, eating an apple or drinking water? I'm going to say both are good for you, Mary Beth. I'm not going to choose one or the other.
Right.
It's the same with blending versus juicing. Blending, you outsource the chewing, the masticating to a machine. You put the whole food in there, you have these blades that cut it up, and that's kind of like doing the work that your jaw should be doing.
Right.
And then eventually it hits your stomach, and the whole digestion process has to take place, and the stripping away of the nutrients, and the separating of the fiber, and the fiber going out the back door and clearing out our digestive system and our intestine and our lower bowel and upper bowel and all of that. So we have very important for that. However, when we juice, we're extracting out the water from the plant before. So we're kind of outsourcing digestion in a way. So it's much more like drinking water filtered through plants. So both are good, both have benefits to us. If you're trying to do a juice fast, we are trying to emulate what was going on in the old days of a famine. So we need to make sure that we actually think about it from a juicing point of view and not a blending point of view.
Gotcha. Do you have any suggestions for like a blender or a juicer? Like if we were go out to buy one, do you have any?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's lots of juices on the market. There's 3 different types. You've got the cold press, which is like a press, a physical press that squeezes down on produce that's in a film bag. Quite expensive, but you will get lots of yield. And when I mean expensive, I mean like they're 10 times the other machines. I mean, they're very expensive.
Okay.
But if you're in the industrial side of things, or you're really, you know, in a school or in a work environment, and you're making a lot of juice for staff members or school kids or whatever, that could be a very beneficial machine to get. There's one called a masticating juicer, which is more about grinding and squeezing, and quite good. And then also there's the centrifugal juicer, which is the one I use, and I use the one from Breville. But there are other brands out there that you know, if people have one already, my advice is to get it out, dust it off, and try and put some of Mother Nature's finest through the machine.
Okay, good information to know. Also, I have something funny to ask you. Do you ever crave a donut?
Oh yeah, of course. When I drive past Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donut, of course, I'm human, and you know, every now and then I'll allow myself one of those treats. I mean, I must say that for a donut, it's been a while,
Right.
but
That's my weakness.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So my weakness is chocolate ice cream, and I love my chocolate ice cream. And this is another thing I talk about. I don't think we should sort of block out the things that we love, because that's what's called fun food. And I think that essential food, which is fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, seeds, and whole grains, we have to just work out ways and plans and tips so we can get that in our diet. And you know, if you're not broken anymore, because I don't take medication, I don't get sick anymore, and my numbers are great, therefore I'm not broken,
Right.
which means that I don't have to be so extreme towards plants. I can have lots of plants to maintain my wellness, my happiness, my sense of satisfaction and belief in myself.
Right.
And then I can have the fun food. So I'm looking forward to maybe this weekend I'll be due some ice cream, and chocolate ice cream, and I'll have that in New York, and I'll enjoy it. I'll just hope that no one takes a photo and just posts it up of me doing it.
Yeah, maybe they won't.
I do it like in corners very quietly. No one looking.
Sunglasses
Yeah,
on.
dark glasses and a hat.
I know the feeling. Also, you're here on a book tour right now.
Yeah.
And your new book is Fully Charged.
Called Fully Charged. It's basically for those people that are not broken, that were broken or never were broken, but are feeling good. But it's about maintenance, about how do you maintain. And I came up with these 7 keys, which we go into in quite depth in the 7 chapters of the book, about ways and tips and ideas that maybe some people are like doing 3 or 4 of them, and maybe 2 or 3 will be helpful.
So you came up with these 7 keys. So what are they?
So basically what happens when I write a book is I spend a lot of time trying to think about what the audience, what's going to be valuable to my readers. And the thing that I was hearing the most, Mary Beth, was that yes, it's okay to do some extreme things like go on a diet or go on a juice fast or what I call a reboot. But what happens afterwards? What do you do once you've done your program, you've set aside your time, you've achieved your goal? What happens then?
Right.
And we don't really have a shortage of people losing weight in this country.
Right.
We have a shortage of people keeping it off. We don't have a shortage of people actually making attempts to try and be healthy, but we have a shortage of people staying healthy.
Right.
And so last summer when I was writing this book, I started looking at all the people that were successful, the ones that were keeping the pounds off and staying healthy. What were they doing versus the ones that effectively weren't? And so I came up with these 7 keys, and just very quickly, they are the relationship to food. So changing your relationship to food, changing your diet, changing your habits, support community, maintaining this incredible machine that we have, understanding that we need to be mindful, the management of stress. And then the 7th one was love yourself and respect yourself.
Right.
And if I had to sort of deal with, say, 3 of those that are really important, I'd probably start with number 1 and number 7, which is this idea of love yourself and love your plants. You see, you show me someone who's broken, and there's a pretty good chance there's 2 relationships in their life that are broken. The relationship with Mother Nature and the relationship with themselves.
Right.
So, and I'm not talking about doing 100 selfies a day and posting them to Facebook, Mary Beth, when I talk about love yourself.
Right.
I'm talking about stop berating yourself. Stop picking on the things every day that you have a go at yourself about. Life's pretty tough. So I think it's important that we focus on the 80 or 90% of the things about ourselves that are amazing, that we actually love about ourselves and our friends love about ourselves. So it's this idea of reconnecting and being supportive of yourself and stop being this roadblock on the highway to life. Loving plants, loving Mother Nature. So many people out there are being ignorant and arrogant about how supportive Mother Nature can be to us humans. She's done an incredible job with us throughout the history of time. So let's not turn our back on her, let's embrace her. And then I guess probably the 3rd key that I talk a lot about is this idea of support, community, being a part of something. Those people who have a good support network, they tend to do their best at maintaining a healthy, happy weight and life. So, you know, if you can't find a friend close by, you can get online. There's lots of support groups. It's almost like to me, it's very difficult to do this alone. And also what I found, Mary Beth, is the people that are helping people the most tend to do the best. So it's one of those incredible things in life that the more you give, the actual more you receive in terms of your own health and happiness. And so there's some of the big things that I found out. I can touch on all the others, which is about, you know, just a simple one, which is people habits when they go to a mall. They go up the escalator, they don't look for stairs. How about switching that around and saying, hey, you know what, where are the stairs? This is an opportunity for me to get some energy out or do some work.
And they're usually right beside the escalator.
Yeah, exactly. And how about when you go to the mall, let's not try and find a park that's the closest. Let's park as far away as we can so we get some walk. So these ideas of that. And of course, you know, we all need to move more, we need to rest more. You know, if you look at kids, what do kids do, Mary Beth? They run around crazy and then they're flat on their back asleep. As we get older, we don't do that. We don't go to the extremes. We don't push ourselves, and we don't get enough rest. So those are some of the tips that in my new book, Fully Charged, that we drill down on and see whether or not that can be helpful to people out there to try and maintain a nice, this crazy word that everyone stresses over, balance.
Balance, exactly. There's something that you mentioned about that I think our audience can relate to, this relationship with food. Could you kind of expand on that?
Yeah, when I talk about changing your relationship to food, I think most people, Mary Beth, what they do is they look at food as being good or bad. Like they look at, you know, we have Tim Tams in Australia. You don't have them here. Oreos. It's like, who doesn't love an Oreo cookie? So they look at an Oreo and they go, oh, this Oreo is so bad for me. You know, I can't have that. You know, they look at kale or broccoli and go, oh, that's good for me. You see, I don't like this idea of putting food in this moral category of good or bad. And I learnt this from Dr. Dean Ornish, who I think had a really good point in saying that, you know, Oreos aren't cheating on Mars Bar's wife. They don't owe money to Kit Kat. They're not like this moral good or bad thing. They are just carbohydrate and fat. That's what an Oreo is. It's nutrients. It's macronutrients. Whereas over here on our kale's no saint either, by the way. Kale is just a vegetable and it's got micronutrients. So we have what I would, rather than say good and bad, I would say we have fun food and we have essential food. Now the problem with people saying that sort of the Oreo is bad is they're going to have them because they like them. So when they have an Oreo and they go, oh, that's bad for me, they then feel this huge word, the big G word, right? The guilt word comes out. And so that is a massive problem because once you feel guilty for having your Oreo, what happens? You're going to have your second and third and fourth and I am not worthy. And so you're all of a sudden in this tailspin of guilt and then you feel terrible and this is the problem. So let's scrap the idea of good and bad for me. I mean, how often in history, go back thousands of years, do you think people sat down and said, is this good or bad for me? They went, no, can I eat this or not? I mean, there was never this question of good or bad. It's only since we've created processed food. So it's all about us having the fun food, let's leave it for really fun times, and let's put the other food, the essential food, let's try and work out fun ways, exciting ways, tips, so that we can get more fruit, vegetables, nuts, beans, seeds, whole grains into our diet. And juicing and blending are great ways to do that. And it can be fun, it can be exciting, you can get the kids involved, you can get them involved in the growing, in the buying, in the making, and the cleaning up.
That's the fun part.
That's how we can actually motivate our youth and the people we love the most, our kids, and get them fired up about making it fun to eat and consume and love our plants.
Are you doing any new projects as far as...
Yeah, I'm working on a new film called Little Humans, which is all about kids and what kids are doing when it comes to changing their lives with respect to nutrition. It's not just about what parents are doing for kids, it's what kids are doing for kids. And so that's been a great project to work on this year, and we've got some exciting footage and stories to share, and that will be out in Christmas time. That's going to be Christmas 2015.
So that had to be fun filming children, or you're in the process?
Yeah, we're doing it right now. I've got some more shooting to do over the next month, but you know, what isn't there to like about kids? I mean, Little Humans are fun, right? And getting in and shooting with them, I have a lot of fun, and it works. Kids and Joe seems to work.
So is there a website or any...
so the rebootwithjoe.com website is a place to go for everybody to get all information on juicing, on my movies, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. The Little Humans film, we've just put a splash page up, Little Humans movie.com. So there's an early stage for that. But everything you need is at rebootwithjoe.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Joe.
Thank you, Mary Beth. It's been great to be here in Nashville, and sitting in the shade, I might say, was genius idea. So that was fabulous. And I think we've got a drink, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of Mother Nature's finest.
Yeah.
This is what I call liquid sunshine.
Right.
A garden in a cup, otherwise known as freebasing Mother Nature. Juice on,
Juice
Mary
on.
Beth. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Fresh Start Wellness by Mary Beth and Channel 6 Ben Lomond TV. I'm Mary Beth, and here's to a healthier you, and juice on.
Juice on.